Our weekly hits with Larry Krueger. And guess what? We're getting closer and closer to Niners Nightly debuting next Monday night, 6 o'clock. I'm on the road a lot, dropping kids off, picking up. I was like, ooh, can't wait for my Niners Nightly with Krueger. We got him right now. Cutdown day today, 1 o'clock. And, of course, the Aiyuk story with the Ceedee Lamb contract being signed. All sorts of stuff to catch up on. Larry, welcome back. You boys, Murph and Marcus. How are you, man?
What's up, Larry?
Murph, Marcus, good morning, fellas.
How you doing? What'd you think of the final preseason game before we get into this upcoming news? What'd you take from Friday night in Vegas?
Man, it was wildly entertaining. I thought it was a really entertaining game. I mean, my takeaways were probably the two running backs, right? First half, Jordan Mason is just continued to look like the horse that he has been all summer. I mean, he spent $3,000 on a jugs machine to make him a better receiver. It's made him a better receiver. His radius of catching the football is bigger. He's more consistent, and he's going to play more. So that was the first half. And then Garendo, I mean, that 90-something yard run, kickoff return down the sideline, and just his speed, his power, his size, his explosiveness. I mean, I think those two guys really are exciting.
Yeah, and Larry, we saw the news earlier this week that the 49ers released Matt Breida, which leads to the questions about what that running back room is going to look like this season, whether we're talking about McCaffrey, J.P. Mason, and Isaac Garendo. I'm wondering where Elijah Mitchell falls into this conversation.
Well, Marcus, where Elijah falls into the conversation is that he's Kyle Shanahan's favorite. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be on the team. Shanahan loves Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell, really eliminates all negative runs. So if it's blocked for 2, he gets 2. If it's blocked for 3, he gets 3. He almost never gets caught in the backfield. He almost always falls forward. Coaches love that stuff, the way running backs finish runs. So that's one thing to make him very popular. The other thing is he never fumbles. So Shanahan loves the idea of using McCaffrey early in games, get up on the scoreboard, get a nice lead, hand it to Elijah Mitchell in the second half, and run out the clock. So even though lots of people have speculated, he's last year of his deal, and and it's reasonable to think, hey, Dallas would probably give you a 5th-round pick for this guy. They're so desperate for a running back. But I just think he's going to be on the team because Shanahan loves him.
Talking to Larry Krueger, who, of course, you see on YouTube and Spotify, and, of course, host of Niners Nightly starting Monday night, 6 o'clock on KNBR. Very much looking forward to that. All right, Larry, we kind of leave Friday behind, and we move into today. Start with Aiyuk. I mean, we're as tired of as anybody, man. We talk about it again, but we spent about 2 hours this morning. And the deal is this. The Ceedee Lamb contract now pretty much has finalized the market, I would think. And you'd think that there's not a number that they can all agree on that slots in. Your view on this situation, the possibility of a trade still, Cutdown day at 1 p.m. Larry, what's your temperature take on the Aiyuk post-Ceedee Lamb contract?
Well, there has been, it's taken like 17 years to walk a block and a half. I mean, that's what it feels like with these negotiations. So I'm not of the belief that this is about dollars and cents or about a certain dollar figure. I just get the sense that it seems like maybe the 49ers don't want to pay Aiyuk, or maybe they feel like with Purdy's contract looming that they have to bite the bullet, and they feel like the wide receivers are the most replaceable guys compared to some of the other, expensive contracts they have in the roster. So as much as I think I would pay Aiyuk. I believe Aiyuk deserves the money. I believe there's 3 or 4 factors that are artificially kind of, suppressing his numbers that he doesn't have anything to do with. And I think he's not a diva. He blocks in the run game. I'd pay him. But I don't think they are. And I get the sense that it may be a trade for picks, even though I think that's not the best move for the Niners, that could be looming. John Lynch is going to talk to us later today, or I believe tomorrow, and kind of go through probably a number of things. And I would imagine we're going to get real good updates on these two holdouts.
Larry, last week when we talked about the Ceedee Lamb contract situation with the Cowboys and how it could affect Brandon Aiyuk. We now know what the wide receiver market looks like. But the interesting thing is when you look at Trent Williams, it's not like he's competing with another offensive tackle to reset that market. And earlier this week, there was a report from Jeremy Fowler that maybe this contract situation could linger into the regular season. So do you think there's a real possibility that the 49ers are playing Monday night against the Jets without Trent Williams?
I mean, gosh, I would hope not. I mean, that would just be such a colossal fail. I mean, they're aware of what he wants. They know that. I mean, the tackle market's real clear. He's the best, and he's the sixth highest paid tackle. The top of the market's 28.5. It's Tristan Wirfs. He's sitting at 23. Give this guy $3 or $4 more million of guaranteed money and get him in. I think that's what the Niners' plan is. I think that's what Trent wants. I think he's going to be there for the Jets. I really do. I would be shocked if the 49ers would go into a game against the Jets in that front and risk Brock Purdy's health by not having Trent Williams, because what's exacerbating the situation is that Jalen Moore and the Niners' backup tackles have not played well this summer. So that's a real problem if Trent can't go.
You're talking to Larry Krueger. We do it weekly, and of course, he'll be joining KNBR nightly. KNBR Niners Nightly starting Monday night, 6 o'clock. Looking forward to that very much. There'll be so much to talk about as we get ready for that season opener Monday, September 9 against the Jets. Again, Aiyuk and Trent Williams, etc. I saw on Twitter you circled the same thing we did, which is the Manti Te'o take on the Niners, and that brings with it all sorts of asterisks. Who's Manti Te'o? What does he bring to the table? All that stuff. But he brings up an interesting topic, and it's the one that haunts every Super Bowl loser, and that's emotional battery charge. And he was basing it on preseason, says he saw an emotionally drained team. That seemed curious that he based it on preseason, not sure. But you're out there a lot, and there's no Aiyuk and there's no Trent. Your read, Larry, is he sort of in a weird way, is Manti onto something?
Yeah, I think he is. Isn't that, but at the same time, if you take the most athletic player off the field, they don't look as athletic. I'm sure if you took the Willie Mays off the field in the 1960s, those days the Giants didn't look as good. Well, if you take Aiyuk out of training camp, he's skying for footballs and he's like super athletic. And just there's a muted feel to the whole thing. Then you mix in Trent Williams holding out. Then you mix in the fact that the Niners have about a quarter of the best top 30 players in the league, and none of these guys have seen the field in the preseason. No Bosa, no Warner, no Mooney, no Hufanga, no Aiyuk, no Trent. So I think you're getting, and I think when you've played till the end, whether it be the Warriors in the finals or, anybody who plays to the end consistently, I think doesn't necessarily, I think they emotionally no-show the beginning often. And I think that's the situation here. The Niners, they're not going to expend a bunch of energy in July when they know that how they run in January and February really will determine if they win.
Few more minutes here with Larry Krueger on the UMA Guest Line this morning. And Larry, another topic today was Mike Sandal's QB tiers. Everybody keeps an eye on these tiers every year they're released. Brock Purdy this year moved up 2 tiers and 13 spots. He has him ranked as the number 12 quarterback in the NFL. Do you agree or disagree with that ranking?
I think that's a little tad low, but I'm a big Purdy believer, so I'd probably have him in that 6 to 8 range. Somewhere there. Some other people, have them, 10, 12, 15. I think anywhere between like 7 and 12, I think is probably where he sits. But good for Sando and good for the rest of, the football media. If you're one of these people sitting around waiting for this guy to, the clock to strike midnight and this guy to turn into a pumpkin and suddenly he's going to revert back to some, failed second-tier quarterback, you're going to be waiting a long time. This kid's really the real deal.
Wow, that's going to be a huge feat. To match the numbers from last year is going to take a lot. We shall see. Aaron Rodgers was one of the other interesting guys on there. He has these 50 different sources, which is great. Shout out Sando doing the work, talking to head coaches and GMs and assistant coaches and coordinators. And a couple with pointed comments about Aaron Rodgers saying, one guy used the word fragile. Another guy said, he said even in the 4 plays he took before he blew out his Achilles last year, he looked old. Larry, your take, there's the Tom Brady school that you can do it till you're 45 and be a robot, or there's the sort of Peyton Manning school where you're like, dude, this guy's barely standing up, but at the end of his career, Rodgers on Monday night, are you fearful that it's rocket-armed prime Rodgers? Or are you like, he might look old and fragile and the Niners might beat him up?
Niners have his number, and he doesn't move well at this point. I mean, I saw his ranking too was pretty high. That's kind of a career achievement ranking. I mean, he's a guy who's older. I mean, Brady is a freak. I mean, Brady's the exception, not the rule. Brady played till he was 45 years old. I mean, it's unbelievable. Brady made 45 look like 35. This guy, though, is more like the rest of us, and I think he's aging in a more normal pattern. And, he signed up to play at MetLife on that surface at his age. It's a very unforgiving surface. So the people that are talking lofty about the Jets, I mean, I'd pump the brakes on that.
Last one before we let you go, Larry. Today is the day that the 49ers cut down the roster to the 53-man roster. Who are a couple names that you're keeping an eye on today that are on the bubble?
Well, there's, one guy that I'm really deathly afraid may get cut is Jalen Graham, the linebacker, second-year linebacker from Purdue. And this kid is just a tremendous kid. He's a tremendous prospect. He's everything you want. He's a super nice guy off the field, and on the field, he's an absolute stone-cold killer. So I love Jalen Graham, but he's caught up in a numbers game at linebacker where you have Curtis Robinson, you had Tatum Bethune have a good summer. So there's a chance that Jalen Graham doesn't make the team, and I would think that would be a terrible oversight. And then the other one I'm looking for is, Nick Zakelj is Brock Purdy's good buddy, and they've slated him in at guard and center, but he has gotten destroyed a lot this summer. And Drake Nugent, the former Stanford and Michigan center, has had an incredible summer. And I'm eager to see if at the cutdown Nugent gets that spot over Zakelj, or if they side with Zakelj, who's obviously real tight with Purdy.
And finally, who's your QB2, Larry?
Well, Dobbs outplayed Allen in the preseason, but Allen outplayed Dobbs in the camp. It's Kyle Shanahan's call, and I think Shanahan likes Allen. I think Allen's number 2.
A little more Kyle-ish. Yeah, for sure. All right, Larry, always great chopping it up, man. And guess what? We'll continue to follow you, obviously, on YouTube. And then Monday night, brother, you ready? You ready to come back?
I'm ready, man. I'm ready. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to be down at camp every day. We're going to be bringing the latest story back to the KNBR listeners at 6 o'clock. We'll have lots of 49er in locker room interviews from earlier that day. It's going to be awesome, man.
Are you going to hit us with a bang the number? You going to hit us with that?
Bang the number, 808 KNBR.
All right, it'll be fun, man. We'll look forward to it. Wait a minute. As I leave, that means you'll be working Labor Day night? That's the kind of work ethic we're looking at here, Larry?
No days off. No days off.
The Belichick of the Bay. There he is. All right, Larry, be good, brother.
Yeah, thanks, Larry.
Take care.
See you guys.
There he is. So, yeah, he'll be working Labor Day Monday night, September 2nd.
We'll have the day off, I believe.
Yeah, we will have the day off. So, all right. Well, it's always fun checking in. By the way, more Niner talk. David Lombardi with Tolbert and Copes at 2:50.